gentlemen, welcome to Don't Feed the Geeks. Is that what we do?
I was perfect. You weren't so loud.
Yeah,
It was great.
I took off my headphones expecting.
Yes.
We're the masters of the geeky verse. Joined today is myself, TC, with Toy Story,
Hello.
Bojo,
Hello.
and JJ.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi, JJ.
I feel
What's
like I feel like I messed up the intro.
No, you did great. It
I?
wasn't so loud. It was perfect.
Yeah.
You didn't blow our ears out.
Yeah.
It was great.
I wasn't sure. I
You were
wasn't sure on the right
just
point.
so mellow and calm, and that was actually quite pleasant.
So I did do it wrong.
No, you did perfect. It was great. I was watching TC with his headset off.
Do you mean Toy Story?
Toys, whatever. What did I say?
TC.
Darn it.
I was prepared for the worst. Hope for the best.
So today is our kind of 2019 in reflection episode. We're gonna be calling it. What are we calling this, Matt?
We have spoken.
Yes, excellent. Ties into what we will be speaking about, so that works out. Little somber news here. We're going to share it on air. You're going to be the first to hear it. Bojo is going to be taking a leave of absence. That's what we're going to call it. He's taking a leave of absence. He's got
Because he has adult real world stuff.
Yeah, he's got a hefty plate.
Yeah.
So the 2019 wrap-up will be his wrap-up for the time being.
Yes, this can't be a permanent thing. So eventually, hopefully, you'll be back. He'll be back. It's just he'll be back.
But we will lack plenty of comic knowledge without you, and we just wanted to thank you for your time that you've put in so far.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I was honestly happy to do it. I wish circumstances were different.
We all do.
I know.
Okay.
All right.
All right, do we want
So we will be taking applications.
Do you have...
Nick, if you're not busy... We're just kidding.
Yeah. All right, should we yell about Star Wars for a little bit?
Yeah, so there was a movie that came out.
So hey, I'm going to break in. So this is the first episode of 2020. So this is actually our year anniversary. Today, a year ago today, I was editing our first podcast.
It's pretty cool.
That would have dropped tomorrow, which it's the same time frame. So it's kind of weird.
This is pretty surreal, yeah.
So we are on our 1 year anniversary as of right now, right at this exact moment.
It's pretty awesome.
So it's a pretty good feeling to know that we've been doing this for 1 year.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten a little bit better.
A little bit.
I think so.
You know what? I had the best intentions of going back and listening to a lot of the old episodes and taking things that I really liked and maybe we could have thrown those in as samples, and that just never happened because it was a lot of work, and instead I wrote a song.
There you go.
So you're gonna
Time
have
well spent.
So before we go into it, world premiere at the end of the episode, world premiere of a special Long Island Comic Guys song called "We Didn't Like Captain Marvel." And don't let the negativity surrounding the name confuse you. It's really, for the most part, a positive song.
There you go.
For the most part.
All right.
I mean, I don't know how well we all sing. I know that this is not going to be a good effort on my
Not
part.
gonna be
We,
good.
we apologize to Billy Joel in advance.
All right.
All right, well, let's talk about this Star Trek movie.
Who wants to start? Star Trek, written and directed by J.J. Abrams.
Wait, didn't he do that?
Yes, he did.
Twice.
Who wants to begin?
Let's go.
So we
with
got two big Star Wars releases. We have the Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the final movie in the saga so far, and we also have the Mandalorian, which just wrapped up about a week ago.
Correct.
A
You're
lot.
correct on both of those.
Yes, so that's what we'll be
comments.
talking about.
So let's go with JJ. Why don't you kick it off? You're probably the only one who saw the original Star Wars in the theater.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I stayed away from everything.
Spoiler-wise.
Anything about this movie, because I really just wanted to be more surprised than I've been in the past. I read a lot with the first two of the trilogy. What is that? The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I mean, I read some stuff beforehand, and I saw some stuff that I didn't want to see, but I did it anyway. But I made it a real good point to stay away from anything. Don't click on anything to read. Doing so, I think that's why I really enjoyed this movie more.
Because it was a complete surprise, everything.
Everything. There was a lot. What I loved about this one was there were a lot of little Easter eggs throughout the whole entire movie. And I think you missed it the first time around. And, I've only seen it once. So going back and now reading about it, I was able to catch up and be like, oh my God, that was him, or that did happen. This movie did move up in my rank. I'm going to put it, I can't remember what we did before, but I think I had like the first.
I think we're going to have to redo those again.
I want to do it.
So I have an interesting idea. We'll talk about that when it gets closer to May the 4th again, but of how we...
New rankings?
Yeah, but a better way to like rank them. Like I'm going to have like a grid that, good, bad, really bad things, and apply that to the movie, and more on like a point system.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this in my 3 to 4 section of my favorite movies. I mean, it did move up a lot.
So you think you like it better than... So originally, the original series
I had the original
are 1
series.
through 3.
So I think everything's because what I was doing beforehand. I know that Toy Story was doing this, but I watched a lot of movies before I saw this. So I'm going to give you my top 3 or 4 right now. So it's like Empire, Return of the Jedi. It could be this one, or it could be The New Hope. That's where it's at. I'm putting it in that kind of area right now.
Interesting.
I really enjoyed this movie. It just wrapped up so much. It's sad because thinking about it, it's 42 years of a trilogy. It's not even a trilogy.
A trilogy of trilogies.
A trilogy of trilogy. And it's funny because I thought about this the next day. Was another one of my favorite books and one of my favorite movies, and it ties into this in some sort of little way. But Star Wars is the answer to the ultimate question. If you guys ever seen
Hitchhiker's Guide to the
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 42 is the answer to the ultimate question. Well, 42 years of Star Wars, and that was kind of my little...
Oh, that's cool.
I kind of roped it into that.
That's cool.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was intended.
I don't know. I kind of figured that I came up with that because I didn't hear anybody else say that or come up with that. I didn't read it anywhere.
You gotta put that on the internet before someone steals
before
it.
somebody steals it.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to go with that wasn't planned because I don't think anything in this trilogy was planned.
All right, we'll get to you.
Sorry.
but I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I'll wait till we start talking about it more. But the winner for me in this entire movie, and it's C-3PO was the winner of this entire. I mean, I'm gonna even go back to all 42 years. I mean,
these were my favorite scenes that he's ever done.
Yes, agreed,
absolutely.
100%.
He was the winner of this movie, and it all just ties in.
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
and it
felt natural. Everything he said was naturally funny.
It made me feel good.
Yeah.
It really did. And I know that this movie, I think it was a lot of half and half. Half people liked it. Half people were like, oh, this is BS. Or even some people are saying if you did like it, you're not a true Star Wars fan. And I'm not even going to go on that tangent because it's just it's just that pisses me off.
Every movie is different for each person.
For every
you're never going to meet two people who have the same opinions about these movies.
And I'm not a novel reader. I'm a comic book reader for Star Wars. But I'm not all into the whole canon thing and everything else. But this I like this movie. It was one of my favorites.
With the whole half people didn't like it and what you said about you're not being a real Star Wars fan, we're getting. I was actually giving a lot of thought into this the other day. We're getting really spoiled with what we have nowadays. I mean, think about. You saw the original ones. When was the next time? It was probably almost 30 years before you saw another Star Wars film,
or
22 years, right? Yeah.
Now we're getting one a year.
Yeah, now it's to the point where people are like, oh, you didn't like Captain Marvel or whatever. We'll get in. We'll have a song about that. But if I saw Captain Marvel in 1997, it might be my all-time favorite movie. But when you've been given things like Endgame and Infinity War, Avengers, Iron Man, Force Awakens, when you've raised the level of what's expected, you kind of get that disappointment. And I think that's the thing, people just don't convey it well enough, is that it wasn't what you expected because your expectations have been raised
so high. And then you got these people who live it. I mean, they'll read all the novels, they'll read everything about it, and I don't know who has the time to do that. I just started reading a novel,
the Darth Bane, right?
Darth Bane.
Ooh.
What? No. All right. I just started reading that. I'm probably about 120 pages into it, and I'm loving it. I'm not a big, novel reader, but this
you don't have to read all of them, it's just whatever you enjoy, whatever takes your interest.
It's hard to do everything of everything.
You can't.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I'm going to be that, that small percentage that I love this movie.
I don't think it's a small percentage. I've been seeing a lot of people love it. So
I love this movie. It was a great wrap up.
Grade.
grade. Oh, I'm gonna.
Comic book grade.
Jesus Christmas. I'm a high guy. I'm a high guy. I'm gonna go with a 9.6.
Wow.
You know, I'm gonna go 9.4,
Okay.
9.6. You know, there's no 9.5, but I'm in that range. I really enjoyed this movie. I came out of that movie going, wow, like.
What is it? The 9.4 with the check mark next to it.
There you go. So all right, 9.4 with the check mark.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do 9.4s with check marks. You get like a 9.0
No,
with a
they
check
do
mark.
because I have
Yeah.
one.
Really?
I do have one.
Why?
Yeah. I have a 9.6 that has a check mark
How is that possible?
because the cover's better than I guess the inside, or the inside's better than the cover. It's something to that. effect.
So actually, when I rewatched all of them in preparation for this, I actually gave comic book grades to each of the movies. Like,
Yeah.
Because a lot of them I hadn't seen in a while. You know, I haven't watched the prequels. In
Well, that's
a
why I
while.
wanted to do this specified
Yeah.
grading
Because
system.
something you also got to take into effect, like those were made at a different time. The
Yes, of
technology was a
course.
lot different. You know, we're getting this big wow factor now. Like, there's a shot of, thousands of ships come flying in. You're not going to get that in the original movie unless it was completely redone now at this point in time.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know, my grade for the first one, the New Hope, is different than it would have been
If it came out today.
Well, no. From the original 1970s version to when it was redone in 1997. I mean, to me, they're completely different movies. You know,
And that's why I don't think you can really have the effects part of your judgment.
true.
You
Or
can't
have it
compare-
as part of it, but take the when it came out into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. It has to have almost
Like for the time, what did it do?
Yeah, what do they call it? Like when they compare prices of stuff, like from old days. But if you
inflation?
adjust for inflation, so you have to adjust for the time period of.
That's fine. Adjusting for
Yeah,
inflation.
we'll have to figure out some type of calculation for adjusting
Adjust
the
for
ti-
CGI
adjusting
improvements,
for CGI improvements.
VFX improvements. I mean, that makes sense.
Let somebody else
Alright.
go now because I don't want to.
Mr. TC?
Yeah, so I guess I'll take it here. I actually liked it. I didn't love it. I walked out pretty satisfied with how the movie came out. And I think was it you and I or someone else we kind of said this. I think they ended this trilogy the best way they could at that point. And me and Toy Story were sitting there, and it did seem that a lot of the stuff was changed at the end. It seemed like they were kind of making a lot of changes, at the last moment. It seems like, they're like, oh, well, they want the Emperor to be her grandfather or something like that, so we're going to change that
Spoilers.
up. Yeah. Oh, well, listen, if you haven't seen it at this point.
The time frame's done.
But, it seemed like it wasn't completely fluid as it could have been. Mm-hmm. I mean, it didn't really ruin my enjoyment of it that much. Again, big spoiler alert. Awesome seeing Han Solo came back. I mean, I don't know. I think both of you guys were sitting next to me. When he came up, I said,
You said.
effing knew it.
Yeah, you did.
And I was like, I knew at some point you were going to see him again. It's like, I didn't
Had to.
believe that last scene in The Force Awakens was going to be the last thing you heard from him. But I'm glad that, he came back in the capacity that he did.
I think he had to come. I mean, to close
Yeah.
it up, he
Yeah.
had to.
I think that was supposed to be Leia. I 100% think that was supposed to be Leia.
Maybe.
He's not she could have come back as a Force ghost and spoken to her son.
Instead, he's
Yeah.
a memory.
And yeah, exactly.
No.
Which I think the swapping in and out, that's taking into account with the real life
Her
circumstances.
passing,
Yeah.
But I think it worked.
I think
Yeah.
it did too.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
It was more of that was a huge wow factor. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was even possible. It didn't even dawn on me that he was going to show up.
One of my other things that I liked was they finally realized that Poe was their most interesting character.
Two movies too late, though.
Yeah, from this trilogy. I felt like we got a good amount of Poe. He kind of, I feel like, led it a little bit this time. It seemed that the other two, even though they are kind of the main characters, they pulled back a little bit from as much as you saw them in, episode, 7 and 8 at this point.
I didn't get that feeling. I mean, Rey is the main character.
She is, but I feel like we didn't get an overabundance of her like we did in Rise of Skywalker. In Rise of Skywalker, I think I said it last time, I felt that's actually her weakest performance in all three of
Rise
the
of
movies.
Last Jedi?
Yeah. Last Jedi,
you
sorry.
think?
Yes. Yeah, I think that was her weakest performance. Looking at it, it's just it seems like she's not very comfortable in most of the scenes. I think this movie, she did a lot better. Even this is probably the one I tolerated John Boyega the most. I mean, out of all the new characters, he's probably my least favorite. Is John Boyega. He's just, he's a throwaway to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they did a huge disservice with his character. at least to me, the most interesting thing that they've done in years is have a stormtrooper deflect to the rebel side.
You know,
And they essentially did
you,
nothing with that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there was just little things here and there.
That's not me talking about him as an actor, just that character, whatever.
It was basically just they used him multiple times because of his janitorial knowledge.
Yes.
Like, that was the only reason that they had him on the team. Hey, by the way, I used to clean this, I used to sweep over here. I was like, I've never seen anybody sweep anywhere in any Imperial ship before. It's like, you're lying. You're not sweeping anything.
Pretty sure they have dreads for that.
Yeah, 100%. But, yeah, he just seemed like a throwaway. I mean, it was good to see Lando again. That is the most lucid I have ever seen Lando. And I've met him like 3 times.
You mean Billy D. Williams?
Yeah.
No, he's Lando.
Yeah, no, he's not. I thought it was good. I think there was a lot of fan service in there, and people were complaining about the fan service with something, again, like JJ said, that's been existing for 42 years. I was like, I think there's a necessity to have a certain amount of fan service.
What fan service are they talking? I mean, there's one very painfully obvious fan service.
There's not as much as I thought there would be.
Yeah. What are people complaining about when it comes to the fan service?
I think it's just too many cameos. I think they were kind of complaining
They're
about.
saying that there was no need for Lando.
Yeah, there wasn't, but that's okay.
You know,
you got to bring everybody back. I mean, I think a lot of people. I love that he came back. I mean, it's great to see him up on the screen.
I mean, that moment at the end too, where he kind of like gives them the speech. Is like, hey, listen, like this was a situation we were in, and like, you know, we didn't know what we were doing. We just kind of did it. Like, I think that was a moment, and like maybe that could have came from Leia. And if she had been alive, maybe they would have had her fill that role. But
I could be wrong on timeline, but I feel like he was already attached to the movie before Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, I think that was a good place for him to add his 2 cents on that.
And I guarantee you, if he was still alive, they would have fit him in somehow, and you wouldn't even know it. But like Peter Mayhew, like he would have put the suit on for this last episode if he was still alive.
He had the suit on for a few scenes in 7.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And he would have been in this too, I would think, if he was still alive.
I mean, I think that was also another great moment, with him actually, showing expression, the emotion of.
That was one of my favorite scenes.
That
when
was
Leia
my
died.
favorite.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Seeing that.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
What's your comic grade?
I'm gonna go, and this is actually it's kind of bumped around in my mind. This is the initial grade that I had when we walked out of the theater, and I'm gonna stick with it. 7.5.
Wow.
Yeah. I think higher than expected from me, but I liked it.
I'm surprised. I think TC and Toy Story and myself were surprised that you even said you liked it.
No, I did. I enjoyed it. I did not. I liked Last Jedi a little bit more after watching it again. It's still not good, but I mean, this is. Out of the 3, I'm still my favorite's The Force Awakens.
Gotcha.
That's okay. You can be wrong. It's
okay.
I'm going to talk about that.
We saw Force Awakens in 1977.
Yeah, and that's why this was good, because we saw it again. If they just would have made carbon copies of these 3, they would have been fine.
All right, my turn.
Yeah. Sure, go for it.
All right. Well, I usually don't like to, I like to see the best in movies, and I'm usually, me and you are usually opposites. You want whatever you hate, I love.
I think we're usually pretty close on stuff. I mean, there's definitely stuff that, like, Into the Spider-Verse, we're on opposite ends of that.
I know.
But
I think this is one of the very rare cases where something you liked, I would say, I really did not.
All right, please tell us why.
And I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Ooh,
Wait a minute, you said you didn't like
I
it?
did not like it.
I'm glad I'm ending
No,
this
I
then.
did not. I did not. I felt extremely uncomfortable throughout the whole thing. Nothing felt natural. Everything felt rushed. I wanted to see Palpatine back more than anything. He's like one of my favorite characters, and I just felt awkward watching him.
He was so good. He was so good.
The scenes were awkward, I felt.
Well, probably, but like the way he was portrayed.
He's amazing.
Was
He's absolutely amazing. I really liked at the end when they did the yellow eyes and everything.
Oh, so good.
But it just the whole concept felt very awkward, very fan fiction-esque, and something that a director that they're paying probably $20 million to do probably could have come up with some better ideas, in my opinion. I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
Did not hate. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed a lot of moments. I loved Babu Frick. I loved C-3PO. I thought Rey's yellow lightsaber at the end was awesome. Kylo Ren is the best character in the trilogy. I love him. I want to hear your
He
thoughts.
he had his moments.
I think he's fantastic.
I
He's
don't
think
I-
he was better in this one.
he was better in this one. I didn't like him in the first one. I thought he was a little whiny.
that's his character.
Well, that's,
Right.
that's his character.
Right.
He's a flawed character, which I like to see, versus Rey, who's extremely, extremely overpowered. I think.
Listen, the movie did have its awkward, and I'm not knocking. Like it did, the whole love scene, kiss scene between him and her. It was awkward. I agree with you on that.
Okay, I'm gonna. I don't think I dislike the movie itself as much as coming out of it. I now see the trilogy as a whole, and it just does not make sense as a trilogy whatsoever.
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Like, it's not a trilogy. It's 3 separate movies that happen to have the same characters and take place after one another.
Which I guess I'm gonna cut you off for just a second and just say, like, that's what I was implying before when you said 42. If it was part of a plan, they didn't plan these movies out.
They didn't plan this.
They didn't. No, I agree
they
with
did
you.
not have a beat for beat like this happens in this movie, which leads to this, which leads to this, and they didn't take what was granted a divisive movie, which was The Last Jedi. They didn't take some of the kernels of things that were interesting from the first two and do something interesting in this third one. They wound up just doing what they did in Force Awakens, which is like Return of the Jedi Part 2. I'm gonna go back to you and let you finish up what you were saying, and I'll jump in and
Yeah, I think.
expand on that a little more.
So my overall thing, I think this could have benefited in 2 ways. Number one, well, 3 ways maybe. This movie should have been 3 hours. It felt incredibly rushed. It could have been 2 movies. What's the big deal in doing that?
I could see that.
This story would have been so much better fleshed out if we had more time. I was not invested in the Emperor at all because he was brought back and then killed again within an hour and a half. Like,
Is
there's
that quick?
or 2 hours, whatever. For me, that's like not enough time to get invested in the thing that's coming back. It's like in The Crawl, which I hated. I thought The Crawl was awful.
Yeah,
That
we
was-
didn't talk
that
about
was-
that.
that was the worst
That
crawl.
was the
Yeah.
worst. I'll agree
From
with
that
you there.
crawl, they just throw it back at you, and then you see him in the first scene. Like, okay, he's back. I don't even care about no explanation. They don't explain stuff in anything. But like, then Poe's like, we found out, we don't know how, but Palpatine returned. I was just like, that's how you're gonna bring him back, the Emperor? Like,
Yeah, they really like jumped right.
if
to
they
the point
wanted
with
this
that, which
storyline to
was
work,
weird.
this should have been the trilogy. I think it
Take
needed.
a little bit from the first one, a little bit from the second one, and
The
then
problem
expand
needs to
on
be
it.
overarching for the trilogy, I think, to make it actually feel like a trilogy. That's why these 3 just feel like individual movies to me that aren't related whatsoever.
Yeah,
So I think the idea could have worked if it were done differently. That's me.
interesting.
Yeah.
What is so I forgot to jump on this point when we were talking about John Boyega. What do you guys think that was the unresolved thing that he never got to say?
Oh, that he's force sensitive.
Yeah.
That's what apparently.
JJ said that.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too.
It was supposed to be in the movie, but it was cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then why not cut that scene out? Like that was people guessing.
Also,
I
at,
hear you.
at the end when they're all the Jedi are talking whatever over her, right? If they really wanted to make this the end of the saga and pay tribute to everything, they should have had them all standing there as Force Ghosts. That was
apparently,
BS.
I think
apparently
they did.
there's a version.
They did film that though. Yeah.
Who knows? But
That's
I mean,
BS.
there's a rumor.
They could have done that. and
I
they
don't
should
know
have.
why you would film that and then not do that though.
True.
Because they didn't have any of them in the trilogy otherwise. Like, you're introducing and you're showing all these other characters, and if you've only watched 7, 8, and 9, which as kids, maybe there's kids
That's
out there
true.
who only watch
I
7,
get
8,
what
9,
you're saying.
they're going to be like, who the heck are all these other people?
I mean, that's why you have to buy the Blu-rays DVD to find out, or subscribe to Disney Plus and watch all the Star Wars now.
I don't know if I because
That's what they could have said at the end.
they also roped in people from Rebels and the Clone Wars and
Yeah, but not overtly. They were like
They could have made it
cameo
work.
spots.
Yeah, just voices.
Like the voice of Ahsoka Tano was in that.
Yeah.
Very briefly at the end.
I
yeah,
don't know. I was unhappy to not see them standing there. That would have been very
yeah.
cool.
That would have really raised the level of the movie for me if you would have got to
Yeah.
see them. And again, that's me as a fan, since the beginning.
That's good fan service.
Yeah,
that right.
Yeah.
like that might have taken the movie to an 8 just alone.
Yeah.
For me to see that, like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like, seeing, like, it was probably a 6.5 before I saw Harrison Ford. I'm not gonna lie to you. seeing him. Then you seeing even Wedge. Like, you get to see Wedge.
Yeah, that was cool to see
like
Wedge.
firing from the gun, and there's there's probably a handful of people. Like, I'm not gonna say handful of people, but 25% of the people who've seen that probably only
Didn't know who.
probably knew who it was. But it was it was all right. What did you give a grade?
5/5.
5/5. Whew. All right.
Wow.
So you really liked it.
I really liked Rey's yellow lightsaber at the end.
You liked a prop.
That was
I did.
and that was cool.
awesome. I did not like.
And
her
did you
saying
realize
she
that that was
Skywalker.
the top of her staff too? Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, was it? I
Yeah.
did not realize.
Yeah, that was
that.
part of her staff.
Yeah.
So her staff was a lightsaber.
I like that it ended on Tatooine with the double sunset. Very iconic. The light speed skipping was awesome in the beginning. I love that whole
Yes.
scene.
That was cool. Yeah,
was such a cool
I
idea.
think the movie actually started out pretty good.
Yeah, I was
my
like,
opinion.
oh, this is going. This is
Yeah.
getting going. I don't like.
They jumped right into the
Yeah.
action.
I don't like MacGuffins. I'm really sick of them.
So what were you referring to by the MacGuffin in this one?
Well, it's
We got to
any-
find the Sith Wayfinder.
you got to find a thing to find another thing to get to the thing. To,
No, I get what you're saying. Like the Maltese Falcon type
yeah,
thing.
the
Yeah.
Wayfinder, the dagger, whatever.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I'm just like I'm
Abrams-
just sick of that. I
Abrams
guess.
relies on that a lot.
He does.
The mystery box
Yeah.
and the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I felt was really good for this movie was you wouldn't really have that C-3PO scene without it.
True.
So I mean, that was the only positive thing that I thought that came out of that. Which is, I mean, his scene was incredible. When he's actually saying goodbye, and the whole time I'm thinking it's just like he's like knocking R2. I was like, R2's like the best robot in like this universe. I was like, I'm sure he hasn't backed up, so I wasn't overly emotionally distraught by that.
It's
scene.
a lot of memory he'd have to have.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's got it.
Was Palpatine all wrinkly when he had a kid?
Was that?
Was Palpatine all wrinkly and distorted when he had a kid?
It's weird. He must have knocked somebody up back on Naboo because I forgot
Right?
that he's from Naboo.
He had to have.
So like his wife and kid or whatever, could have been, like we don't even know if it was the son or the daughter who was his kid. They never even specify if it was Rey's mother or father that was his kid.
I think it was the mother.
Was it?
I think so.
Okay, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, that's me. Zach, go.
Mr. Divino.
I will keep it semi-brief. I kind of fall in between everybody. I left the theater after having... So I'm the opposite of JJ, and I went and found out every single possible spoiler I could before seeing this movie.
On purpose?
Yes. I sought them out. Like I was
so
looking for a
so
Sith
intrigued.
Wayfinder.
That's funny because you don't normally do that kind of
No,
stuff.
you know what? I was left so disinterested after
That you needed
Last
something?
Jedi that I just wanted to see what the hell they were planning.
Yeah.
And reading the spoilers that I read, which were accurate, it sounded awful. Like the movie sounded terrible.
Like the concept
And if you
when you
lay it out
describe
plot
them.
point by plot point and you describe them bare bones without actually showing how you arrive at these points, it sounded like a terrible story. So maybe my expectations were just super duper low. But going into the theater and then seeing how those events actually played out was actually, it was better than anticipated.
So do you think you liked it more because you had such garbage expectations?
I don't know, but I'm at least letting you guys know that I was spoiled on it, had very low expectations, and it exceeded my low expectations.
Okay.
As in, it was better than my low expectations.
Okay.
Fair.
I said it before, the lack of a plan for the trilogy is massively... In a way, it's good. Because you get to set up all these things, and then interesting people get to take them interesting places. I think that Last Jedi ended on a not interesting spot.
It did interesting things, but it didn't end in anything interesting.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna talk about the trilogy as a whole, and then we're gonna come back in and talk about this as just a single movie. I think as a trilogy as a whole, it's a failure. I think that Matt's absolutely correct. They basically remade the original New Hope for The Force Awakens. They just remixed things a little bit. Darth Vader's pretty. Luke Skywalker is a girl.
Wait, who's Darth Vader?
He's pretty.
Who's
He's
Darth
saying
Vader in the
Kylo
new?
Ren is pretty.
Kylo Ren. He's a prettier Darth Vader. I mean, he's not like he's got the mask, but he doesn't need the mask.
Yeah, but I think even with the mask on, Darth Vader's still better looking than Adam Driver.
Ouch.
All right, please continue.
I think with the mask off, Darth Vader looks better than Adam Driver.
It's messed up, man. It's messed up. But they took it at least in a different direction for Last Jedi. But Last Jedi leaves them in not such interesting positions and not such interesting places.
I respected the ballsiness of that movie,
Yeah.
but
I can get like so subverting expectations isn't always a good thing, as evidenced by Last Jedi. But at least they did try and do things a little bit differently.
yeah.
That said, I didn't enjoy Last Jedi, and it left me very cold to this movie.
I feel like that one's gonna stand the test of time more than the other two.
I think it was beautiful. Oh my god, that was a beautiful movie.
Which one?
Last Jedi, and I think some of the decisions made in that movie were really cool. Like, I know, and I have friends that are really burned by this and chapped by this. That there's no real lightsaber fight in that entire movie, and Luke Skywalker, he doesn't even fight, and I think it was a brilliant way of utilizing Luke Skywalker. He won without fighting at all.
True.
I think that was a cool decision, and I had no problem with how he went out.
I liked it too. I did like.
I like Luke.
I don't like how he was before that.
Yeah, terribly bothered by his performance. Otherwise, yes.
But I was not bothered by his end. This movie, the horror aspect of the Sith was fantastic.
The planet was really cool.
Oh my god, the planet was so cool. The whole them making ships and raising them was stupid as hell. The fact that Palpatine's back
Every
at
ship's
all
a Death Star now.
is stupid as hell. But that's not necessarily like think about how much smaller they've made everything since in like the past 20, 30 years. Yeah. Like cell phones went from being bricks in your hands to like there's supercomputers in your pocket. The miniaturization.
Star Wars isn't supposed to make sense.
The miniaturization of technology does make sense. But
Ship was a Death Star.
yeah, that's kind of silly. I mean, what's the point of? Whatever. I thought that Palpatine himself was really cool. Like the portrayal, the way they made him, the detach the machines and like hanging and being very creepy and blah. I loved every second of it.
I liked when he said that one line that he said during the Darth Plagueis story.
Which one?
The pathway to the Sith dark side has like many abilities that some might consider unnatural.
Oh yeah, unnatural.
Well, I feel like they were doing that a lot with like his former lines.
Maybe
I feel like you get
That's awesome.
But that was the exact line from Episode 3, and I loved it.
Listen, I think the characters themselves were better realized this time out. Like Finn, Poe, Rey, all very likable, all more comfortable in their roles and as their personalities. I think they gelled really well together. There was a little bit of friction, but with the speed that the movie was going at.
And this is really the first time all three of them have been in scenes together,
which I think is a problem in and of itself. But that's another thing.
They completely sidelined Rose Tico, which is a controversial topic, I think. However, they just basically Jar Jar Binks'd her.
Big time. Yep.
They literally were like, she's a problem, and we're just going to put her over there doing a thing that's going to take up her time this movie. Could they have found a way to maybe utilize her better? Probably. Was I bothered by it? No. Do I think that people have been completely unfair to the actress? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not her fault.
It's not her fault that the last movie had bad writing.
Yeah.
Listen, I've said my problems about Hayden Christensen aloud to you guys many times. I don't write him letters every single day. No. Telling him how he's a terrible human being.
No, he's a guy who did a job, and the job didn't turn out that well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurt. Like, I think people who are out there harassing and thinking that this is going to be my piece. It's my last episode for a while. I'm going to say it. I think if you're a fan, but you're acting in a way where you're harassing someone, you're not a good fan.
Yeah.
I think that you can be a fan of stuff, you can enjoy things, and if it's not going the way you want it to, there's so much other stuff out there that you can watch and read and enjoy.
And to just add to that, and I feel like you can express your opinion about something that you love or don't love, but just do it in a respectful way.
Absolutely.
Like you can say, like, listen, I didn't like this. I didn't appreciate her performance. I thought it was this, but,
we do it with each other all the time about the prequels.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
As a movie, I left satisfied. I left as happy as I was going to from this movie. My grade on it is probably a 6.0, 6.5. Not as low as Matt's 5.5. I didn't think it was terrible. I did enjoy it. I don't think it's amazing, but that is probably me looking at it through a lens of this trilogy.
And, I was just
I'm the same way, through the lens of the trilogy.
Yes.
And thinking about it this way, too, all those other movies were written.
Yeah.
6 movies. He wrote 6 movies. He didn't write A New Hope. He wrote episode 1 through 6, and he's like, all right, well, this is too long. I can't make this into a movie. And he picked out the one that he thought he could make and would be most interesting to people, and that just randomly happened to be 4.
Yeah.
He's like, I think I could do this movie now with, the technology I have at hand. And then, to come up to somebody and just say, hey, can you do this? I mean, you can say whatever you want about George Lucas. Like, he did a very successful thing.
Oh, yeah.
This is a once in a lifetime thing. Like, even, the best directors out now, it's like, it's still a big ask. Or, whoever the writer, it's a big ask to say, hey, we want you to do a continuation, trilogy.
Right.
Based upon the already existing characters that aren't your own.
That you now have to go familiarize yourself with.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big ask.
I didn't want to be J.J. Abrams at all.
100.
Even in episode 7,
I would have never wanted to do it.
I don't think J.J. Abrams wanted to be J.J.
No,
Abrams
I don't think
this
he
time
wanted.
out.
He didn't want to do this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think, like, how I say it so many times, it's just like, Disney has the X-Men now. They're gonna do, the X-Men. There's gonna be another Wolverine. Who the F wants to be that guy?
Right.
You
Like,
take him in a different direction.
Yeah, that's the only way
gotta.
you can.
Yeah.
You have to go so true to comic form in
Short
some
dude.
way. Short, hairy dude, hilariously fun. Like, honestly, like, if you did it like Danny DeVito, like, obviously you can't do Danny DeVito, but if you go almost close
Have
to
you
that
seen
character,
Kumail Nanjiani? They can get him to work out.
I'm just saying, it's like it's gonna be a tough ask.
It is.
But
Yeah.
I agree.
I think it was, it was what it was. It was more Star Wars. Your buddy, what's Frank? What's the name of his? I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I know. Star Wars Autograph News.
Yeah, he said, more Star Wars is better than no Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Hey.
And, I mean,
I'm fine
that's
with
what it
that,
was.
So speaking of new Star Wars,
Yeah.
Well, you
There's
did give
a-
it. Oh, you did give us a grade. I'm
there-
sorry,
there's a-
I wasn't listening.
Well, it's
when you
just
said
real
okay.
quick. Thoughts about Lando's daughter being a stormtrooper.
They also cut more of that. Oh, the short. Yeah, they cut more of that out too.
she's-
That was supposed to be a whole thing.
she's not his daughter.
that. No, she's his real life daughter.
Wait, what?
That's his. That's
Wait, what?
That's what's his name's
That's
daughter.
Billy D. Billy D. Williams' daughter.
That's what I heard.
Well, she's also the daughter in the movie.
That's his
Oh,
daughter.
So maybe
No.
I'm mistaken.
No, I felt like that was a backdoor pilot for something for Disney Plus.
Look
Probably.
it up. Look it up.
Because it was like, I felt like that was going to be like, oh, they're going to have a little series and she's going to be running around with Lando for a little
Jana
bit.
is Lando's long lost daughter.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys didn't catch that?
No, because they cut it out. There was,
Oh,
there was,
see,
there was a deleted scene with
I-
it.
I guess the way they looked, just everything, I was like, oh, huh,
Oh, so she's
is
not
that?
his real.
That was the
daughter.
weirdest interaction ever,
Yeah.
by the way, between them two.
I just thought it was a backdoor pilot.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's
I think
find
And she was a
out.
stormtrooper.
I think there's
Yeah.
going to be something there.
I thought that was an interesting thing that they could have done is they could have followed up on, like, you picked up on this. Why didn't they follow, like,
That was
there
the
were
most-
rebels last time. What if we had a full-on rebellion of, like, stormtroopers?
That was the coolest idea they've had.
Like, how did
And
they
they did
not
nothing.
I actually, initially, after seeing The Force Awakens, I said, the only way that the next movie ends is with an Empire Strikes Back ending where, Finn gets captured and winds up being reprogrammed. And, like, he would wind up being a stormtrooper again by the end of that movie. And I figured that was the trajectory they were going to go
That
with.
was kind of like his Carbonite.
Exactly. Him getting
Yeah.
carbonated is going to be him going back to the Empire and then him breaking out again somehow.
And then taking some people, like bringing some people with him. That would have been an interesting way to go.
I don't know, but once again, like they went into this without a plan, and then they also planned this second movie without planning a third movie. And I think you need to have you can do a first movie and not have a plan, but I think for a second and third, you kind of have to know the trajectory of where you're going.
Second and third should have involved the Emperor. Both of them, I think.
I think so. I think that the end of the third movie,
At least the second one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the end of the second movie, I wouldn't have been surprised if Rey went dark, and like left with Kylo. Like that wouldn't have bothered me.
I also called that that moment where she comes out. I was like, that's definitely a Dagobah in the swamp.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And the other surprise was John Williams had a cameo in it.
Yeah,
That
which
was very cool to see.
Fantastic.
wait,
I
what?
actually picked that up.
He
I
was when they were
surprised.
running through the town with.
He was the bartender.
Huh? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had like a piece
That's
of metal
funny.
on his face.
He had an eye.
Yeah.
He had an eye thing over his face.
He's never had a cameo before in the
Nope.
movie.
John Williams.
That's super cool.
It was.
Yeah.
I think it was also a great send off for him. Like, he's done the music for everything.
How soon until they make Star Wars action figures of that?
Oh man, I
Oh, they
want
already
that.
have them for sure.
They probably do.
There's gonna be a Hot Toys.
Oh my god. So speaking of new Star Wars is good Star Wars, right? New Star Wars is better than no Star Wars. I hear there's a series that is on is it Disney Plus?
You would be correct, sir.
You would be correct.
It's called the Man Who Lures.
Yes, he Mandalorian.
Oh, okay. Oh, the Mandalorian.
It's a man that drives a DeLorean.
I figured that's what that was
He's
about.
part man, part DeLorean.
Park the
88 miles per hour.
So I have not seen this yet.
Oh,
You have told us that.
Which is, and I'm saying this now on air. You guys, please enjoy your discussion.
well, we will be.
I will interject with questions when I have them. I'm aware of certain things, so don't feel like you're going to spoil stuff.
Before you go,
Okay.
this is the scariest moment because I think the three of us who have seen it are definitely in agreement that we like this so much that for you as a person who hasn't seen it yet, I'm almost scared that you're not going to like it and it's going to upset me.
Yeah.
Which is a weird feeling. Like, I don't know why it should bother me that you like it, but you have to like it.
It's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni doing the series. I just love the fact that they've Judge Dredded him, and he hasn't taken the helmet off.
I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. It's the Elf meets Iron Man. That's what this movie is. No, I'm just kidding. Somebody said, they're like, you give the man a Christmas movie, he makes it an instant classic. You give him a superhero movie, he starts off an entire franchise. It's like, give this guy the keys to Star Wars.
There you go. This is a great series. I mean, here we've got The Mandalorian. It's more of like a space western. I think so.
It's very samurai movie, right? What is it called? Wolf and Cub. You said it earlier.
Lone Wolf and Cub is the comic series. I don't know if they did movies based off it or not, but I remember in the '80s there were reprints that Frank Miller did the covers for.
I don't think there's one episode out of the 8 episodes in this series that I did not like. I mean, every single bit of it was just amazing. I understand they don't have the budget to make it a high-end movie type, and you notice it.
I thought that feeling that it did, though.
Well,
I mean,
certain,
I'm pretty
certain
sure
shots, like the space shots, were like, I kind of like, I don't know. It just looked fake to me.
I
feel like it was more high budget than other stuff. Though,
right.
on TV.
It's not a knock. It's not a.
I mean, they spent $100 million on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just to me.
For 8 episodes.
It's not. It's not going to ruin it for me.
No.
But it's just great series. 8 episodes. Who wants to take some of this?
The only thing I'm going to say I feel like I like pretty much all of them. There's one that I probably liked the least was probably that break the jailbreak episode.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god! I thought that was one of the top ones.
I don't know.
So
My
there's
least was the what was that guy's name? Right, where they go into the Mos Eisley and they meet that guy, and then he has to go out to the Dune Sea to kill the lady.
Oh,
that was my least favorite.
Yeah,
I didn't
Ming.
hate it, but it was.
You know what? I'm gonna change it. I think
that was
that
kinda-
might be my least favorite, actually.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was kind of weak. I didn't
Yeah.
like the guy, and he even knocked the whole series. Well, he knocked the new movie, didn't he?
Yeah,
Those
that
Big
guy did.
Countries. You're right. That was probably my least favorite.
Yeah,
There was one.
I'm gonna agree.
No,
The only problem with that movie. So there was an episode where
is this all set on Tatooine?
no.
One episode they go to
Yeah.
Tatooine.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of our, I like her, Ming from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
she,
Ming-Na.
she
Right?
was in it. Love her to death. I think she's she's a great actress when it comes to movies like this. I was really bummed that she died.
She's not dead.
You don't think so?
100% no.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping not. I know there's some dude,
Yeah.
we don't know who that was,
Yeah.
came walking up. But, to kill her with little
Yeah.
quotes and air quotes that quickly, it kind of bummed me out.
Well, there was a lot of, big cameos that were just that. And they came in. I mean,
that's
Bill
fine.
Burr was, he's a huge comedian. And he was in that.
So that was the prison episode.
that was the
right?
prison episode,
So
yeah.
in that camp, we had Clancy Brown from
Yes.
Highlander.
Yep.
He was also in Earth 2, a TV show. I mean,
Most
this guy's,
importantly, he's Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob
he's
SquarePants.
right.
Yes.
I mean, this guy. I love this guy. He's an incredible actor. So he was in that with this guy, Bill Burr. Also,
Which is surprising because he does a pretty good job.
he does.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
the
love
girl,
that it's Bill Burr, man.
I don't know the girl's name. She was in
She
Game
was in
of
Star
Thrones
Wars and Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, not Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Tonks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was in Game
I
of
forgot her
Thrones.
name.
She
Yeah.
plays a Twi'lek, which I loved her. I loved her character.
I don't
mean,
know who the brother was. Was he somebody too? I don't think he was.
He was an actor, not a high end one.
There was a lot of decent. Even the guy who did the voice of the robot, I think, was somebody like.
He's
fairly
the guy
popular.
that was on. If you ever watched this, called the IT. It's a British comedy.
Oh.
He's the African American guy on that,
Mm.
and I love. If you ever see, you have to watch it. It's a stupid show. It's British humor, but it's actually quite funny. But yeah, he's the voice of him.
And then there's the other guy who's from Dark Knight Returns. He was in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh yeah,
Not Batman Begins. The Gordon's partner.
Oh,
he was the
Bullock.
guy with the big
No,
giant
not
beard.
Bullock.
Oh, Flass.
Yeah,
Guy
Flass.
playing
Yes.
Flass.
Yeah.
Yes. So that episode was huge on the cameos. I love that episode.
They got a lot of good character actors in it.
Yeah.
I think the winner was the girl, the MMA fighter. What's her name?
Oh, she's awesome.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
I-
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
I hope we see her more because I don't.
She was in Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
this might be the best performance I've ever seen from her in like in an
Has she been
acting
in anything
facility.
else other than those two?
No, she's been in a lot. She's been Fast and Furious.
Oh, see, I didn't watch
She's
that.
been there's something else I saw her in. I can't think of it now. She had a couple of like smaller like budget movies. She was in like the remake to Kickboxer. But I mean she's a mixed martial artist.
She is, and she's perfect for this role. I
No,
mean,
she's great.
I mean, to be a shock trooper.
Yeah.
I mean, she's built for it. She takes those guns and just goes to town. Yes. What's up?
No, I was just telling Toy Story something.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the biggest winner of everything is this Baby Yoda.
Oh, was there a Baby Yoda in this?
Baby Yoda-ish.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
so
not
that's what it's
Baby
been.
Yoda.
That's what it's been named. My wife was very confused. She's like, "So this takes place before all the other movies?" I was like, "No." She's like, "So why is Yoda a baby?" It's like, "It's not Yoda." It's like, "But it looks like Yoda." I was like, "It's like you've never seen Star Wars. How do you want me to explain this to you?"
I think after the third episode, my wife bought a shirt. She went
Yeah.
on Etsy and bought a shirt because she had to have a shirt.
Well, she wanted to buy the toy, and then she saw like my wife, who doesn't watch Star Wars. She's like, "This is the cutest thing in the world." She's
is
like,
pretty cute.
"How do they not have any toys for Christmas?"
None.
That
They
is
have
the
no
biggest
toys
Because they
for-
didn't want
for any
spoilers
of
to
it.
get
To be
out.
honest with you, there's no toys from any of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is crazy. So yeah, we've got this Baby Yoda-ish, and obviously the Mandalorian, who never takes his helmet off for the entire 7 3/4 of the episodes.
Oh.
So we do eventually get his helmet off for just a
It's-
few seconds.
it's
I'll be
just
honest
Pedro
with you.
Pascal.
Oh, I know this.
I didn't like that.
I wish they kept it on.
No, I would have been fine with them taking it off, but not showing us.
Right.
Like had them take it off, but you only see like him staring at
Totally
the
agree.
IG-88.
Absolutely.
I was like,
It kind of threw a wrench into my like.
yeah, it was just it took something away from it where I just didn't want to see. You know, it's funny. At the same time, I wanted to see his face, but then when I did, I was like, I instantly regretted my decision.
So the last episode was fantastic. I think it was
Yeah.
probably one of the best ones of the entire series. I mean, you've got, a whole battalion of stormtroopers, which
Death Troopers,
well,
yeah.
there was a single, the Death Troopers, and then there was
From one of my favorite Star Wars movies, Rogue One.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember that it was not a shock trooper.
a flame trooper.
I'm not sure if that's the name of it though, but
Okay.
he's from Force Awakens, from the video game. He wasn't even part of any. It was the first time it was
okay.
shown, but we had a showing of him, and then we had a new type of TIE fighter, which was kind of cool. The wings kind of folded up, so we got a lot out of this. And then obviously we had a new type of R2 unit with arms and legs, and it was kind of cool to see that.
What?
Yeah.
IG-88 was a I'm gonna say IG-11, whatever. I'm gonna change him to an 88. We're upgrading him. I think there was a lot of showstoppers. I mean, we didn't even talk about what's the Grill? What is the species name?
The Ugnaught?
Yeah, Ugnaught.
An Ugnaught.
It was, performed by Nick Nolte. Might be the best thing I've seen Nick Nolte do in like 30 years.
Are we talking the last good thing we saw Nick Nolte in was
48
Point Break?
Hours?
Oh, sorry.
That's not Nick Nolte. That's Gary Busey.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Oh, they're not the same
They're
person?
not the
No.
same person.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. But I think, he was great. I mean, there's no one other than that guy that you mentioned before, which I've honestly completely forgotten about. I think everybody performed, almost perfectly. Outside of that, like, one annoying, like, guy.
It's great to have more coming into the Star Wars universe, like all these new actors coming
I
in,
enjoyed-
and even not even new, they're not even new actors; they're old actors.
I enjoyed the R2 unit with the arms and legs rowing the gondola.
Yeah.
It was great
Through lava.
through lava.
Stop. They wanted things to get hot.
So I think the best scene of the entire 8 episodes is the last episode, episode 8. It starts opening with 2 biker scouts. They finally scooped up, baby Yoda-ish.
Quote,
And
unquote.
they stop and they're kind of like BSing. I think it was just the best interaction.
Scout troopers,
It was
right?
so
Scout
funny.
troopers.
Yeah.
One of them was Jason Sudeikis. I don't remember the other guy.
I can't remember the other guy's name. But here, you got 2 guys just kind of BSing. Them trying to shoot a can or whatever it was that they were trying to shoot.
That was great.
And they missed every single time. And it was just it was a throwback to, the original Star Wars where, the stormtroopers can't hit a damn
See,
thing.
that's the type of fan service that works, though,
Yes.
because it doesn't affect anything. Meaning, if someone who's never watched Star Wars, like, it's still funny to them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we get
right.
it also.
We get it.
Right.
We get it.
Yeah, that's perfect fan service.
And then you have these 2 biker scouts just making sure that baby Yoda-ish was alive, and they just started.
He's like, I
thunking
just
him-
want
thunking
to
him on the
see
head.
it.
That interaction, and I think it went on for like 10 minutes.
It was a long scene.
Yeah.
It was the best. I'm going to say it was the best I've ever seen in any kind of Star Wars. Like, because it was different. It was just.
It was the most natural thing you've probably
Right.
seen.
So
Right.
is this the evolution of Star Wars?
I hope so.
Is this like they're just going to do more long-form stories on
I hope so.
TV versus movies?
I hope
I
so.
think it's more successful for their format
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
And we need a show where it focuses on the troopers.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. The interaction, them going to the bathroom and having a piss break,
Have you
just-
seen the Star Wars Clone Wars TV series?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
A lot of that is clone trooper stuff.
my
It's
favorite
really-
Yeah.
stories in that are the clones.
Yeah, but that happened before.
You want to see, like, the
I want to
stormtroopers,
see
you
it.
mean?
Yeah.
After.
Like,
Okay.
after. Like, them BSing like these 2 guys were.
Right.
One getting home from a day's work to his wife. what? That's funny to me.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what do they do it when they're
Yeah.
off duty? Like, do they just go like?
Recommendation for you. Star Wars Tag and Bink are Dead. If you haven't read it, find it.
Yeah. I've heard of it.
It's a comic book series from Dark Horse from like 2000-ish. It is hilarious. It's about 2 rebels who like unwittingly wind up on the Death Star, like dressed as stormtroopers, and like the shenanigans and hijinks that they wind up in that like ties into the main movies.
That's hilarious.
If you haven't seen there's a YouTube of Star Wars called Troopers that somebody put out. A bunch of I think the 501st guys.
Didn't Spat have something to do with that? You guys know Spat?
I know it's bad. I don't know if he did.
I don't know, but this was a homegrown thing that a couple guys made, and it's along the same lines as that whole interaction, and it's just so funny. But that was, I don't know, that was great.
No, I mean, and then you didn't even talk about the special lightsaber, right?
The special lightsaber,
The dark
The
saber.
Dark Saber.
the dark saber,
What?
which
I thought you didn't see the
is
series.
which is an amazing to bring that into
To bring the
this.
animated stuff into the live action stuff.
So, I've never seen Clone Wars, and at this point, I'm mostly not seeing it just to aggravate Toy Story.
yes.
But I have seen Rebels.
It's in Rebels. I think it's more in
Yes.
Rebels than it is in Clone. I don't think is it in the Clone Wars? I don't.
Yeah,
know.
with
Yeah.
that Duchess Satine or whatever her name is,
Oh, that's right.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't think so. I had forgotten. So Sabine from Rebels winds up with it,
Yes.
She winds up with
and
it.
then she gives it to someone else.
She gives it to somebody else because she didn't want the responsibility to lead
Someone
the
on Mandalore, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. To,
Yeah.
to be the
So now in this show, we're hearing about the destruction of Mandalore, whatever that whole
Yes.
thing was. So obviously, he has
which
something.
that guy Gus, whatever his name is,
Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
What?
Yes.
took he basically
Yeah. So he had something to do
he
with
killed
that.
off everybody, stole got possession
in
of
charge
this
of something,
the
yeah.
sword, and that's where we ended it with. And him just standing on top of a TIE fighter, whipping this thing out it was absolutely amazing.
I love all those like armor scenes too, where he goes into like the chick who's the like what do you call it? She's a blacksmith pretty much, right?
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like melting down. What's their metal called?
Adamantium.
No,
No, but it's probably essentially a similar thing, but it's like their special type of metal, and it's pretty cool. You know, she melts it down. She gives him his signet, which is the what is it? The mudstone,
the mud horn.
the mudhorn, yeah. Which is I mean it was cool.
And that was a great scene too to
Yeah.
see that, like, you know, that was pretty impressive to see. You wouldn't get that in the movie, I don't think.
And we didn't see her get taken out, so
We didn't. I'm hoping to see her
she
again.
can still be around.
But it was such a great series. I can't wait to
Yeah, I'm pumped for season 2.
season 2. I know that they've
Fall,
I know fall
Fall
2020.
2020.
It's
It'd
just-
probably be like September, I think,
hopefully.
because Winter Soldier and
I
Falcon's
want the
also
first
coming out
day
in
of
the
fall.
I think Winter Soldier and Falcon Winter Soldier comes out in November, if I'm correct.
So this will probably come out September.
You're
I
probably
think.
right.
I don't think they'll do them both
So
at
it'll
the same
lead
time.
into it.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. I mean, I know we're talking mostly Star Wars. What are we watching now on
What
Disney
are
Plus?
we watching?
Like, what is there? I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. I think they did a new movie with the Green Goblin.
Yeah, the Togo, which I'm
not really the Green Goblin.
No.
The,
what's his
Willem
name?
Dafoe?
William
Yeah.
Dafoe. Yeah, it's a movie. It's based on some dog. It's like a Balto,
Balto.
What's
but
it?
another type of dog that did
Yeah,
the
it's
same run.
Yeah.
But it looks good. I got 10 minutes into it, and I couldn't finish it because I was doing something else.
I mean, there's plenty to watch, but I would like an original something. I feel like they
so
should
when
have
is the
had
next
something.
thing though? It's obviously
February.
Marvel. But
Clone Wars.
is it Clone Wars?
Season 7, February.
Oh, but what about Marvel?
Marvel's
is it,
WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier coming out this year at some point.
I don't think WandaVision's coming out this year.
No,
Maybe
they
it's
moved
not.
it up.
Wait,
they
did
moved it up.
They
They
did,
moved it up.
yeah.
Yeah, because there was a bunch of.
New Year's Day, they said they were moving it up.
Yo, what? I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So I'm curious how they're going to fit those two and Mandalorian season 2.
Because what they talked about was bringing that speed guy back for that.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver is going to be in that apparently.
Unconfirmed.
They got to get the guy from who did it in X-Men.
Aaron Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not going to get that guy.
Oh, I'd love that.
So something that came across my Facebook feed was is Hawkeye getting a new show or
Yes.
was it a movie?
No, he's getting a Disney Plus show.
Okay, because I didn't click into it to see. It just showed up. So
It's supposed to be him, I think, essentially training Katie Bishop,
Yes.
okay.
who I don't know who that is. I've never read that storyline.
Oh my.
Jeff.
The one time Jeff would be useful to us.
She appeared in Young Avengers #1 by Alan Heinberg and Jim Chung in like 2004 or 5.
Okay, and that's that.
She was like a socialite who wound up just kind of getting into shooting arrows.
I mean,
and
that's what
doing good
happens
stuff.
when you're a socialite. You
I
don't really have
suppose,
much
yeah.
else.
You know.
Wow.
All right, so we done with the Star Wars
How long
discussion.
have you talk about that?
1 hour.
We're almost an hour.
Just shy of an hour.
So
All
my
right.
15 to 30 minute estimate was
So our reflection on 2019 has been minimized. All right,
That's
guys.
2019.
Yeah, so that was.
That's a big bulk of
2019.
2019. I
That
think.
was a big bulk of 2019.
So I guess we won't have to talk about that for our top moments.
Yeah.
Let's go with Bojo here. Why don't you kick it off? Let's give us your three personal your top 3 geek moments.
I think if you're going to talk about 2019 and you're going to talk about top geek moments, you can't ignore the culmination of phases 1, 2, and 3 with Avengers Endgame.
100%. That's
Like-
in my top 3 as well.
Like, has to be.
So I'm down to 2 already.
Beautiful. See, it was combinations.
Yeah.
We're taking stuff off the table. I just think that no matter what you thought of the movie, some people saying Infinity War is better than an Endgame, yada yada yada.
Yeah, it is.
I
That's
think
fine.
that no, and listen, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I just think that is
What
as,
it was.
as a
As what it
culmination
was,
of
yeah.
20 plus movies.
Yep.
This was
It's-
unbelievable. They did an unbelievable job.
100%.
Unheard of. Yeah.
And it was satisfying
Yeah.
in ways that I didn't even realize I wanted to be. It sounds weird. It was extremely satisfying. It was a very satisfying conclusion.
We've said
I think,
satisfied a lot in this episode.
Let's get satisfied. Yeah. You're gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss that. But I think that it was a tremendous movie.
Tremendous, good word.
Tremendous.
Yeah, it's just to even think about that. Like, think about being like a 10-year-old kid. Like when you were a 10-year-old kid. Like you think they could ever do, like, not in a million years.
When I was a 10-year-old kid, I went to go see Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
How old were you?
We don't talk about that.
And it's just like, oh man, it'd be great if they could make good versions of these. But that's a dream for another day.
It'll
I mean,
never happen.
The fact that this
But
even
now it's
happened
expected.
is, I mean, and that's what I'm saying with,
We're spoiled.
we're spoiled.
Yeah.
Like, we got something like this, and then to pull, you see, you can't pull back now.
Can't. Nope.
You can't say, well, like, no, we're going to give you single Batman movies. Or we're going to do a Joker movie that has nothing to do with anything else. And I haven't seen it yet, and I'm sure it's fantastic.
It's on. My wife and I.
Did you see it?
We've been binge watching, shows on demand, and I saw it 3 days ago on demand, and I'm like, God, I want to see it, but then I don't want to see it. Like I have mixed emotions about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's on
I
demand
don't know
now.
what I saw. Wow.
I
It's just weird. My expectations have been brought up here, and even if it's a great movie, like, I just don't want it to be a movie that stands out alone.
I don't mind it.
I mean,
Sometimes I don't want to have to be pulled into a universe of 57 different movies or 58
That's where I'm
different
at right
books
now.
Or,
but you know what? I feel like there's other things you can do that with.
yeah.
Like the comic book world is just like,
Yeah, but
that's all part of something.
It's ever rebooting and it's ever changing and it's ever getting new takes. So, like, if someone
Listen,
wants to do
I'm not
going
going to say I'm never going
movie,
to see it. I'm absolutely going to see it. I'm sure it's a tremendous movie. He's a tremendous actor.
Oh, he's a tremendous actor.
But it's just
Even the people who've hated the movie have said that he's unbelievable.
the bar has been raised.
Yeah.
is I think the point.
Well, I
there.
think that's the obvious answer is to do movies like The Joker then, where you do them smaller and you do them where it's off in its own. You don't do a regular old Star Wars movie or TV show. You do a Star Wars like a Western version of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, the blending and the merging of genres and doing smaller
Stuff
stories
that
is
doesn't
probably
depend on other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's gonna probably be the future.
They should
and
do
the way
both,
they
I
do
feel
it.
like, because you could get your universe-esque stuff one way, and then your,
Smaller stuff in
your smaller
others.
stuff another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
It
hard to
shouldn't
do
be.
it with
We
a
shouldn't.
character like that though. Like to have Joker without Batman.
It worked. But
I mean-
it's not that Joker.
Yeah.
It's not.
For my second top moment of 2019, I'm going to go with the conclusion of Doomsday Clock, which that dropped maybe.
How many issues was that?
It was 12 issues. It took about 2 years to come out.
I think I'm only halfway through it, if that much.
I really enjoyed it. I did not anticipate enjoying it, and I really enjoyed it.
And that was
It's Jeff Johns.
Johns.
It is Gary Frank, who are a great team together. They worked on Action Comics.
not
12
New
years
52
ago?
stuff, right?
No, pre-New 52. That was one of my favorite Superman runs when it was coming out. Really, really liked it. Basically, Gary Frank used to draw him like Chris Reeves. It was unbelievable, man. And they did a whole arc with the Legion of Superheroes, and they got the flavor of Superman really right. But that's basically what Doomsday Clock was. It was a love letter to Superman. So I think that
I'm
you're
gonna
going to
finish
love the conclusion.
Nice.
I think it's really fun for continuity nerds like myself.
Cool.
I
I'm
haven't
excited
read
to
any of
finish
it.
it. Yeah.
And as a
I
top-
might just start from the beginning at this
Is,
point.
is there a lot of tie-ins, or it's just
There's
the one
no
main story?
tie-ins.
Just one main story.
It's literally one story. You don't have to read anything else.
I'll have to check it
It's
out
all
maybe.
pretty self-contained. Read the back matter would be what I would say. Just like Watchmen, like the back matter stuff affects what you're reading in the story and gives you a deeper sense of what's happening.
What do
but
you mean the back? Like the stuff at the back of the.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like
yeah.
there's usually like little files
Yeah.
of like somebody's reading something or someone has photos or there's a teleplay or something from a
Gotcha.
character. All that stuff kind of matters, quote unquote. And it broadens your understanding. And then I guess like a top three.
I mean, if you don't have a third, you don't have to do a third.
No,
but
I'm
that's fine.
going to go with a momentous one instead, and I'm going to go with the fact that Walking Dead wrapped up this year as a comic series. I think that was pretty momentous. I think that it ended exactly where it needed to, and my reasoning for that is I was going to drop it the preceding issue. So, like, the fact that they ended it
Good
literally
timing,
when
right?
I was going to stop reading, I think was a pretty good... I've been reading since like issue. Oh God, I started picking them up individually around issue 40, but I'd been reading it before that. I think that the fact that he ended it there was probably for the best. So those are my top 3.
Nice.
What about you, Toy Story?
All right, I'm gonna go Joker, but I'm not gonna talk about it because we've talked about it a lot already.
Okay.
Next, I don't know if you guys seen The Irishman?
No.
I didn't love it, but I grew up with all those gangster movies. My family loved them when I was a kid. Goodfellas, Godfather, Casino, everything. And to see Joe Pesci back after so many years was one of the best things for me this year, because he's been out of the public eye for like 10 years. And
Yeah,
stuff,
I was wondering where he was.
but it was fantastic.
I thought you said you didn't like it that much.
I didn't like the movie, but that was the best performance of his career.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Better than Harry?
I think so.
Literally the joke I was going to make. Literally the joke.
I love Harry too, but
So this year, my daughter got into like that Home Alone,
Yeah.
and she's and again, of course, she's her favorite character. So she likes Kevin. She's like, let's play Harry and Marv. I'm like,
Amazing.
Jeez. I was like, I'm just gonna find out what prison you're gonna be in when you grow up, so I can figure out where we're living, so I can visit you on the weekends.
Your daughter's a super villain.
She is. That's cool though.
But my top moment, and regardless of what we just discussed about the movie, was when we were watching that live stream in May or whenever it was during Star Wars Celebration, and they showed the trailer. You heard the laugh, and then he walked out on stage.
Yep.
That's like, I hadn't felt like that in years.
That's great.
Like with Star Wars.
That's
so,
cool.
Nah.
Yeah, as a moment, that was it for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
All
short
right,
and sweet.
I'll go next.
All right, you go next.
I think like most of my favorite moments are kind of when we get together and do stuff. I know it was
Aw.
very recent, but the Santa swap.
Yeah.
I love doing that. Bojo, we missed you.
Obligations.
I know. But that was a lot of
See
fun.
what you could have had?
I know. I'm looking at JJ's framed painting by our friend Mike Caro.
Yeah,
It's tremendous.
He's gonna be showing that
Yes.
later tonight.
Nice.
He's going to be.
I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it. I was trying to take nice pictures.
It's in a beautiful frame right now. But yeah, like the Santa swap, I always love doing that stuff. We went to Terrificon this year. That was a fun trip.
That was fun, yeah.
We did I mean this is more of a don't feed the geek moment, so I'll save it for that. I don't know if I have it. I mean, seeing Endgame was kind of my third. So I mean that was the culmination of yeah. I mean the culmination of almost 20 years is just it's
That's the thing.
It's mind-boggling.
Something.
It's like when your thoughts get caught up in a bottle.
No, it's like the game Boggle where they shake the little cubes.
I'm stealing that from the movie.
Oh,
Blades of Glory or
Oh
something.
god, that one. It wasn't 22 years. It was like 20 movies. It was only like a matter of like 11 years. Like that's how spoiled we've been.
2008, yeah.
2008 to 2019. It was 11 years,
crazy.
and we got 20 something movies.
That's
out
crazy,
Of
yeah.
It's impressive.
It is.
It really is.
it. Unofficial Spider-Man: Far From Home was fantastic. I only recently saw it. It was so good.
But those are my three. So
Nice, good
I'm
stuff.
gonna move it over to JJ here.
Yeah,
Your personals.
Personals, yeah. I mean, obviously
Geek personals.
geek personals. I mean, the end game is up there with me. I
Yeah.
mean, the closing of that whole.
I mean, like it or not, I think like as a moment,
Yeah.
it's just hard to top.
And it's like it's okay, as a whole. I mean, it's just okay. 2019 was the end game, but we're spanning 11 years. I mean, it's just what a monumental task that was,
And they
to bring this
stuck
all together.
the landing.
And they did. Every single one was fantastic. There's not really one bad one that I can think of right now that.
Oh, I can think of a few, but we're not going to talk about that.
As a whole, it was just
Age
it
of
was
Ultron.
fantastic. It was great. I mean, so I'm on the same boat as what you guys
Dark
are.
World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
No, I love
love
that.
that.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
So really?
I think
Wow.
I think Age of Ultron and the Dark World, the only ones that I would say aren't good.
Right.
Yes.
Like everything else, I think is good or better.
At least good.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least good or better.
I'll give you that.
So we've already done that. And, maybe my second one, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
here we've got a new streaming service. Being the oldest one here, I mean, a lot of these shows came out when I was a kid, and I get to watch them all over again.
Yeah, that's cool.
I watched The Black Hole the other day, And that came out in 1979. I remember this movie.
How old are you, Toy Story?
1979.
Here we've got
Negative
we've
16.
got a movie that comes out in the heels of Star Wars, and you can watching it again now, I could see this.
The
it was
influence?
so similar to even the robots that they look like stormtroopers, and here you got Maximus who could be Darth Vader. It was just such a great movie.
What was it called?
The Black Hole.
The Black Hole.
The Black Hole.
I'm so
Interesting.
sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Did you guys hear about this thing where the guy was trying to sue Star Wars because they stole his idea? It was some movie made with David Hasselhoff, but there was like light swords and stuff like that. But apparently it was made after Star Wars. But the guy said it was like made in like 1980. But I'll find the name of the movie.
Ballsy to give him that.
Go ahead.
But
Sorry,
Disney Plus as a whole, it's just it's
So
a
much
great-
potential there.
It's there's so much that could be done, and the stuff that's on there now, it's absolutely amazing. I've watched so much on this already, and trying to get my little boys into it, they're not interested. I mean, it's so hard. Hey
Yeah,
guys, you want
it
to watch
is.
it? And they
They're
have
like,
no
no.
interest. They don't want to watch it. They don't want to watch Aladdin. They don't want to watch, The Little Mermaid, which is my favorite.
Don't
Thank
want
you
to
very
watch
much.
Aladdin.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's hit or
just,
miss with my daughter too. Like some of them she really likes. Like she really likes The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, but
No
Peter
interest.
Pan, no interest. Little Mermaid, which is my wife's favorite. She was like literally getting upset at my daughter for not wanting to watch it.
I was pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite.
I mean, we haven't even tried Aladdin yet, but I mean,
It's just such a great, and I'm so hopeful to what this is going to be in the end. So it's such a great thing. I'm gonna say my third one. An individual is this here doing this.
you can't. That's
No, it's my individual. Me
All right.
sitting here. This is a great moment.
All right, then you have to transfer that into
And I will.
DFTG
and
moments.
I will.
Okay.
But this I love this. This is
I do too.
it's,
I do too.
with you guys and everybody else. I'm gonna get sappy. I'm gonna start crying here in a second.
Aw.
He is. He's not.
Okay.
He's not kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Aw.
All right.
So since you did that, go into your 3 DFTG top
Okay.
moments.
So this here.
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be 3.
No, but don't feed the geeks. All right, so I'll start with doing the podcast itself. Doing this, I enjoy this very much. We started off doing this, every other week, and then we ended up trying to do it every week. And life gets in the way, and eventually, I hope we can again move this to a weekly. I don't know. It's just I like doing this.
Sorry, I'm sure I found the name of that David Hasselhoff movie. It's Star Crash,
Star Crash. Thanks.
1978.
Oh, on the heels of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, this here is probably my, don't feed the geeks. Interview wise, we've done some great interviews. Everybody from, to our friend Tom Travers to Tom Velez to one. I enjoyed Dawn Mateig. She was a fun interview that we did.
That was a recent one.
Yeah.
That was a recent one.
And I feel like those are the toughest ones too, because a lot of the ones we do, we know the person.
Yeah.
So like it's a little easier. It's a little bit more like I feel like I get really nervous when we do the ones where we don't like know the person, and there's like so much pressure on us.
But I think
But
once
when those go well, it
But
feels
once
good.
we get started,
Yeah.
it kind of rolls and it gets more comfortable. But I'm hoping we could do a lot more interviews for 2020. I
Yeah.
want to get some heavy hitters. I've got some ideas. I hope.
Don't say it yet.
No. I hope we can continue doing this. I know we're losing, Bojo here, which he sucks, but it's okay.
I'm sorry,
and I'm hoping we don't lose anybody else. But I know
losing-
you've got the core 3 of us. TC, myself, and Toy Story. You're not going anywhere, right?
Guys, I got to tell you something.
He's just pregnant.
I understand he goes on a lot of vacations, and we'll work around
I always
that.
come back.
You always come back. But for 2020, I hope we do more of this.
Yeah.
And I love you guys very much, and this is
Very sweet of you, Jim.
this was today being
I promised myself I wasn't gonna cry.
today being an anniversary for us. I mean, I didn't realize that until this morning when we woke up and that event came up on my Facebook, and it's a wow moment that we've been doing this for a year already, and we haven't killed each other.
It gets dicey, and I know I make it dicey for most people. I'm very demanding. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna go with that for now. You know, that's
Yeah.
There you go.
I think that's a good top 3.
top 2.
Yeah. Well, you stole 2 for 1. All right, so I'll turn around into this one. I was really pumped that we were able to do the book club. We launched that. That was really cool. I mean, again, like I don't know how much viewership we're getting on it, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
You know, I don't even care if anybody watches it. It's fun.
Watch it, yeah. You know, and I think it, you know, if we keep doing the, you know, the quality of what we're doing, and keep increasing the quality, you know, putting it out there, I think, you know, the followers and the viewers will come.
I think we just need to figure out how to promote it more. I think what we're doing is great, and it's a fun event. It's fun.
And I'll touch on that when we go into like kind of things we're looking forward to or want to do in 2020. But
I hope we can do more different type of live stuff. Eventually, I'd love to do this live at some point. Not even live, but just on video. So we'll release it then.
We'll just go on public access.
We'll do a little Wayne's World moment. But this is fun. You know, that's fun. The book club is fun.
You guys have to wear wigs if you do that.
Yeah. Oh, I think I'm gonna need to wear one soon anyway. But I'm just kidding. But tabling too. Like we got to table at Suffolk Comic Con.
That's cool.
This year. I
Forest Hills.
Oh, that's right.
We did Forest Hills.
I totally forgot we did that. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That was a small one.
Yeah, it was small. But you know what? I just love doing it.
It's fun.
You know, I've done it before with our buddy Jimbo Slice, and then we did R2. You know, I don't even. I do care if we don't sell stuff. I'm not gonna lie, but just
if
being there.
Expensive, I care.
Just being there. It's so much fun.
It is.
Like it's a fun experience. It's a fun way. Like we met people who actually listen to the show.
And that's probably the main thing. Is being able to meet people that actually listen to this.
It's interacting. You know, it's putting a face to a voice, and I really love that. I think that was great. And just some of the interviews we had. I mean, we had great interviews. Kristen Gudsnuck. I mean, she did Hank's Girl. I mean, what you were saying about, some of the interviews, you could be on top of your game, but if the person you're talking to isn't giving you anything, it's kind of tough. And like we had a great give and take. It was a fun interview. It felt like we knew her, very well by the time we ended the interview.
I liked her. She was fun. And even talking to her after the show at a show. Yeah. It was nice just to interact with her.
I wasn't on that episode. I wasn't on that interview, but I thoroughly enjoyed listening to that interview. Yeah. Like thoroughly.
Yeah, I think it was one of the best ones that we did, and it helped that she had a lot of great answers and knew what we were getting at a lot of times, because I think it's difficult. We might not always say what we mean, but people know what we mean to say. Right. So when people can pick up on that, it's great. And then we had a lot of great other interviews. The interview we had with Mr. Bojo here before we brought him on officially with Tom Pilari, one of my favorite episodes, the Batman episode.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a long episode too.
It was really long.
That could have went longer.
Yeah. Chris Campana, I love that guy. We met him a few years ago. And I feel like that guy's like a kindred spirit. And I've really enjoyed interviewing him. Our buddies, Mike Caro and Tom Travers. I mean, I really I love the discussions we do, but my favorite part of doing this is actually the interviews. I really love the interviews, and I want to do more of those too.
I really like the one we did with Steve Borak from
Steve
CBCS.
Borak, yeah. Steve Borak was a great interview, and he was like, we didn't even need to ask questions. He just kept going on. He was like, I was like, well, we were actually going to ask you about that, so go ahead. So like, we didn't. He almost interviewed us at that point.
To be honest, he's so knowledgeable.
Yeah, and that's a big. I mean, he's the president of a company.
Yeah, that was probably a pretty big. That was a big. That was a big thing that we got. That was, I mean, especially people in the comic book world, they would know. Yeah. That was a big interview.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
I really enjoyed going to
Alan too. Alan was awesome.
Alan's was awesome.
Yeah, he's always fun.
I really enjoyed going to Undead Inc.
That was cool to record on location was very different.
That was awesome.
And you got to see them work. You got to see them work too.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a really good episode.
That was so much fun.
And like Mike's just so much fun to talk with, and Tony was fun to talk with.
Yeah.
All right, what else? I really enjoyed when we were at that Harley exhibit at New York Comic Con, talking to Jimmy Palmiotti.
So good. So he basically gave us a private tour. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest ones for me.
Yeah. Oh, that was so cool.
We got to get him on the show.
Yeah, I know. so I tried a while back, and he's interested in being on the show. It's just a scheduling.
Timing. Yep.
It's we need to figure out the scheduling, but I do believe we're gonna have Jimmy Palmiotti on the show at some time.
He's a great guy. But yeah, I forgot about that time.
What you have other moments there, Toy Story? So did you do your individual moments?
Yeah,
I don't
he did.
remember. That was like 12 hours ago.
I'm shocked that
I took 10 seconds.
JJ, TC, you guys didn't mention going to the Stan Lee thing as one of your top moments of
Oh,
2019.
yeah. Guys. Wow.
Wow.
That was one of my
Okay.
top moments.
So go into the Stan Lee tribute.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're bouncing back for a second.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't
Sorry, we're backing
technically
around.
You know,
SLCG, but
because
DVF,
so much
Don't
went
Feed the
on.
Geeks.
We did a lot. Even with the show, but that was so. Yeah, JJ.
That was special.
That was you. Yeah, that's a
You
once
know,
in a lifetime event.
We got lucky as Marvel Unlimited members. Not even everyone got one because JJ got one and I didn't get an invitation.
So we're gonna do a little backstory. So
Yeah.
there's quite a few of us within the group that have the subscription to Marvel
Yeah.
Unlimited, and what's been great about this whole being part of this subscription is, occasionally they'll send out invites. You put your email in, and hopefully you'll get a ticket to one of their events. And we've been
Premiere
really
or
lucky.
something, yeah.
We've been very lucky. At least
Yes.
one, maybe two of us have gotten these things, and we're allowed to bring one other person. So it's so we kind of were able to round robin and see who's available to go. And this one event, out of all of us, I was the only one that got invited.
Yeah.
And I asked TC to come with it. And it was the Monday after
New York Comic Con. So they had all those people who
were
like
at New York
attended.
Comic-Con.
So, we're standing online, and G. Scott Campbell standing behind us. I see like Frank Cho walking up and down.
That's
I
cool.
turn the corner, and Todd Knox on the line. Like you're on the line with like these like super famous people. It's just like at least in the comic book world,
Right.
Before you even got there, I'm online, and if you don't know anything about New York City, this was at the New Amsterdam Theater, which is on the corner of 42nd and what is that, Broadway?
Yeah, I think it's between Broadway and
Oh
like
my
8th or 9th.
God.
So
yeah.
when I got online, I was on the complete opposite end of the street, closer to 8th Avenue. So I was closer to 8th Avenue than I was to 7th Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got online, it was so long you couldn't even see New Amsterdam. It was
All the way.
a block down the road. And then when I got online, I was, am I supposed to be on this thing? It was, 5 o'clock. We were supposed to be in at 5:30. I asked the two guys in front of me, and they didn't understand English because they worked for Marvel in France.
Yeah.
So like, we work for Marvel. This is where we're supposed to be. I'm like, okay, but I don't work for Marvel. And then the two guys come, behind me. They worked for Marvel. So I was in these lines with people that work for Marvel. I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong line. And think, when you came up, I had to go,
Yeah.
front. But then that's when we started noticing all these, J. Scott Campbell,
Yeah.
and Cho, and
That's awesome.
everybody else that was in line.
And you guys said that like there was so much more than was televised recently, right?
Yeah, so it was.
They cut a lot, right?
It's
they-
heartbreaking.
They cut a lot. There was so much, and even the stuff that was in there, there was moments that they shared with, like Tom Hiddleston, shared moments that he had with Stan Lee that didn't make it in, which I felt like was really the heart of that show. Did they Joe Quesada?
Joe Quesada.
They didn't cut his part, right?
They didn't cut his part.
But Todd McFarlane came on and he just spoke about Stan. He spoke about Stan and his wife, and there was other people too. There was a guy, a longtime editor. I'm blanking on his name. You probably know who it is.
Jim Shooter.
No, after Shooter. He was like a young guy. I'm sorry. I'll find it later. But there were so many good people that came on and spoke about Stan. And then they did the videos. The same videos that they showed you. They kind of they kind of showed at the theater. But there was just so many moments.
Was it CB?
No, not CB Cebulski. He's the one. Who was the first person that spoke?
Gary Conway?
Jerry Conway.
Jerry Conway.
Yes, he said something so beautiful about Stan, and it didn't make the show, and it was just
Interesting.
It was
Yeah.
heartbreaking
They,
because
they didn't put people in that the general audience
Right,
wouldn't know, which is
100%.
wrong. That's the
100%,
chance where you
but-
get to broadcast these people and let more people
Right.
know about them, and you generate more interest.
But I mean, listen,
Todd
yeah.
McFarlane, like that was so
Yeah,
heartwarming and just.
I mean,
and it
you
got-
you could tell how much Todd loved him because like Todd was kind of like choking up while he was talking about it. I mean, it was really, and the genuineness that everyone had. Like I I don't know if I'm right about this or not, but I'm usually pretty good about picking up when people are BSing you.
Right.
And I didn't get that feeling from anyone. There's literally, you were in a room full of people who genuinely loved this man.
That's so cool.
And it was just,
cut.
But I mean, just being there and like, I'm glad I actually got to see the whole thing and experience the whole thing. I was like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I teared up a couple times too, because it's an emotional place to be. Celebrating someone who is really, a forward thinker.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do that. That's not what he set out to do. He always, they even said that, he was going to write his great American novel. And, it just, he did something even greater than that.
Yeah.
So,
And we were in the room with all his basically family, friends and family. Like, they were all
like
there.
extended family, Marvel's like, if you think about it, his child.
Right.
Yeah.
And we
So-
were lucky enough to be there. And that is a moment that I'll never forget.
It was a really special moment.
So I'm glad I told you what your top moment.
Yeah,
of
thank you.
2019
I'm
was.
sorry about that. What are we going to do without you?
You'll be fine. You guys are good before me. You'll be fine after me.
So did we cut you
Yeah,
off?
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah. You said most everything else I was going to say.
All right. Did you have any?
Don't Feed the Geek stuff. I love doing the interviews. I love that you guys brought me on for that Batman episode.
That was fun.
That was so much fun. And I have to say that I love doing the book club stuff too.
Yeah.
The last one I was on, I wasn't here for Claus, but the Superman Red Sun one was just an absolute blast.
Yeah.
And I think that visually we were getting our game up there.
Yeah.
So
It was fun.
yeah.
You can't even come to just that.
You can come together.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Maybe.
All you got to do for that is read the book.
Yeah, read a thing, take notes. We'll see.
Fly by the seat of pants. Come on.
We'll
He's,
see. I can't fly by the seat of my pants. You know that.
He's too,
I'm an over-preparer.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. We'll end this with kind of things we're looking forward to in 2020. Anyone? All right. You know what? Because I started saying it earlier, I'm just going to go into it. I'd like to do more shows. I'd be excited to do more shows, interact with people, get some new cards out there, some new flyers,
Absolutely.
spreading
stuff.
the news about the podcast, spreading the good word
Good word.
about our good words.
I agree with you.
Shows are fun.
I even like to want to maybe do a show at a show,
Yeah, I think I
setting up
think
the-
that's interesting. I think it's going to be tough.
Interesting.
and then bringing some of these artists to our table
Yeah.
to sit down and have a BS conversation. I think they do a 5-minute segment with certain people. I think that
I
would
definitely
be fun.
think we'll get there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that might be
I'm very
a
much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
goal for 2020 at some point to do that.
And we're going to bring Bojo back mid-year.
Yes. He will.
Bojo will spend his summers with us.
He'll be summering in the Geeks.
That might not be a bad idea.
We'll let you work, school holidays, school times.
Never say never.
That's what I'm most looking forward to.
Anyone else got anything?
Same thing. Just like doing more shows, doing different stuff. Adding more content to us.
Yeah.
Quitting my job and doing this full time. No, I'm just kidding.
Can't wait for that.
I have no comment. Oh, man. All right. So I think this was a good 2019.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
2020 is going to be even greater. Oh, and by the way, I want to give a shout out to the guy who ran into Jim at the Grasshopper thing, because he emailed me.
Oh, he
And
did?
His name is Danny Flynn.
Okay.
He was the one who came up to you at the Grasshopper
Yes.
event and said hello. And he told us to keep up the awesome work, and he said he'll see us in 2020. So
That's
thank
awesome.
you, Danny. We appreciate
Awesome.
you
Good
coming
to
over
hear.
and saying hello. And
Thanks, Danny.
we look forward to meeting more of our listeners in the future. And again, guys, if there's something like you're interested in, or something you want to hear about, or somebody you want us to try and talk to, let us know. You never know. It might not be something we're thinking about, and we might go in that direction.
Might. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, on to the Roaring 20s then. But before that, the world premiere of the Long Island Comic Guys' original song, parodied, of course, called "We Didn't Like Captain Marvel." For your listening pleasure now. Do 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 Dungeon Master, Toy Story, Bojo, JJTC podcast. Don't Feed the Geeks, aired at last. Joaquin Phoenix, Undead Inc. New Joker, making a run of it. Suffolk Con, Terrific Con. We tabled at a con. Obscure characters, Endgame. We can't say Jimbo's name. Red Sun, Book Club, and the Long Halloween. Rise of Skywalker, what the flirkin'? DC's got a new Wayne. Tony Stark, Swamp Thing, Game of Thrones, goodbye. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but we like Brie Larson, just not as Carol. We didn't like Captain Marvel. No, we didn't like it, but we tried to like it. Steve Barack, Tom Velez, Tucci and McTagg, Baby Yoda, Campana, Galaxy's Edge, Tom Travers, Comic Art, Steve Biscotti, God Country, The Black Widow Falls, Ode to the Comic Shop, Hench Girl, Gud Snuck, Bam Pow Zap TV, LI Comic Guys, that's us, Mandalorian, Disney Plus, Shazam, Best Comics, The Witcher, First Comics, Princess Leia, Geek Debate, Batman 1000. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but we like Brie Larson, just not as Carol. No, we didn't like Captain Marvel. No, we didn't like it, but we tried to like it. Things that rock, my uncle's a Pasternak, Mike from Royal Rocks, Anakin sucks. Gauntlet, Treasure Hunt, This Is the Way, Monster Mayhem, Mike Arrow, I'm done with Arrow. DC Universe, Doom Patrol, no, I don't think I will. Alan G, Planet Hulk, NYCC, Stranger Things, Teen Titans, I Have Spoken, Origin Story, Alfred's Dead, Disney owns the X-Men, Toys That Made Us, we read Klaus, from the pages to the screen. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but we like Brie Larson, just not as Carol. We didn't like Captain Marvel. No, we didn't like it, but we tried to like it. Far From Home, John Wick 3, Baba Yaga Makes You Bleed, Ronin, Skrulls, Hulk 181, Interview, The Geek of Steel, He Loves a Man of Steel, Gorkum Deemer, Spider-Venom Cards, Punisher Kills, Jigsaw, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Portal from Wakanda, Thanos snapped away, we didn't record what we had to say. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but we like Brie Larson, just not as Carol. We didn't like Captain Marvel. No, we didn't like it, but we tried to like it. Smart Hulk, Old Man Cap, Spider-Man, back again, Nebula, Gamora, War Machine, Fat Thor, Loki, Valkyrie, Scarlet Witch, Falcon's Head, On Your Left, Ant-Man in the van. We still miss you, Stan. Girl Team Up, New Master 69, Iron Man, Suicide, Comic Deaths, JJ's a Vet, Groot, Fury, Jeff spent too much. Toy Story on vacation, TC's under house arrest. They ended Star Wars, we couldn't take it anymore. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but we like Brie Larson, just not as Carol. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but to be positive, it just wasn't for us. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but we like Brie Larson, just not as Carol. We didn't like Captain Marvel. No, we didn't like it, but we tried to like it. We didn't like Captain Marvel, but we like Brie Larson, just not as Carol. We didn't like Captain Marvel. No, we didn't like it, but we tried to like it. All right, so we want to both thank you and apologize. This is an idea that I got on New Year's Day. I consider this my Sistine Chapel.
Wow.
Yeah. So I hope we don't get sued.
It's parody. I think it's covered by...
Yeah. But I had a lot of fun doing that, and I think you guys did a great job as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I'm really not known for saying
I think the bad parts were funny bad, so let's just hope that's the
yes,
case.
they were intentionally that way.
Well, that was a good wrap up of 2019.
Yeah, I think we covered everything for the most part. So as we always end it, I think we're gonna end it the same way, or should we change it? Should we change it?
Until Bojo comes back.
Until next time.